localwebradio.fm, your trusted voices on the Semiahmoo Peninsula.
This is your Spotlight on Business on the Semiahmoo Peninsula.
Well, yes, Erik Reynolds here, and I am your host, and I'm here with Dr. Tim Brown, ND, owner of Ocean Park Natural Therapies and creator of Solving Your Health Puzzle with Integrated Medicine. Now, today, some of the things we'll be discussing are why people seek out doctors' help, what is integrated medicine, where do naturopathic doctors fit in, and how can I better understand the different methods and treatments for my health issues. Now, before Dr. Brown joins us, just a reminder that if you have questions or require assistance, you can reach his office at 604-538-3017. Again, that's 604-538-3017, or visit him online at www.oceanparkhealth.com. Now, Dr. Brown, I want to welcome you to the call.
Good morning, Erik.
Well, it's great to have you here, and it's such a fascinating subject that not a lot of people know about, so let's just go ahead and get straight to it. Can you tell us the story behind your business, and when and how did it get started?
Well, my business, I started as a naturopathic physician, sort of in a roundabout way. I was in university and interested in athletic injuries and performance, and I discovered chiropractic as a profession, chiropractic medicine, and actually went down to Portland and got my chiropractic degree. And while I was down there in Portland, it's we call a broad scope state, and we learned things like minor surgery, nutrition, physical therapies. And when I came back to British Columbia, the law here for chiropractic was hands-on, spine only. It's what we call a narrow scope of practice, and somehow it just didn't quite resonate with me that was the only way that we should be treating people. So I started searching around for where in the world people would go for health care and what would they do. And finally I decided that rather than people having to go somewhere to get their health care, we needed to have it right here. And that led me on a search for basically how to fulfill that. And I went back to Ontario to get a degree in naturopathic medicine, because naturopathic medicine offered that kind of broad scope of natural therapies and healthcare that seemed to be missing. So basically, I graduated from naturopathic medicine in 1986, and I was practicing in Langley, and then I moved over to the White Rock area, and I've been in Ocean Park, White Rock, for probably about 18 years.
Now, Dr. Brown, for those of us that have never visited a naturopathic physician, can you explain what you do for the model of healthcare you provide?
Yes, that was the biggest problem that I had when I was going through naturopathic training. Was I realized that people didn't understand what we did and where we fit, and so I actually created a model of healthcare that I call integrated medicine, a natural approach to healthcare, or more simply put, it's solving your health puzzle with integrated medicine. And the issue is that naturopathic physicians are government-recognized general practitioners, but we have specialized training in natural therapies. And basically that in the past has meant that we didn't use drugs and we didn't do surgeries. More recently, we actually have limited licensing for prescribing, so we can use certain drugs that are required, like antibiotics and hormones and things that are part of our traditional practice. But what I mainly needed to do was get people to realize that the health model as it currently was set up focused on health and disease. And disease, if you're healthy, you don't really need to see a doctor. There's no reason. People have energy and everything's functioning fine, so they don't have the requirement to see anybody. They're healthy. The disease model is what medicine is based on, and that is that there's a pathology or a disease going on that is going to potentially threaten your life or disturb your functioning. The problem with that is this model is flawed because most people are not seeking health or help because they have a disease. What happens is most people have what's called a dysfunction. They have a functional problem that is interfering with their quality of life, and they would like to basically get rid of it or improve the quality of their functioning. So to make it short and make it easier to understand, I realized that there were 4 areas that everybody basically, when they were coming in, they fell into 4 areas which I call the puzzle pieces that have to be sorted. And those 4 areas are, they're suffering from a deficiency, which means something's missing or lacking that they require. And that can be vitamins or nutrition. It could be sleep. It could be water. It could be, some basic nurturing. The other side of the spectrum is they could be suffering from a toxicity, and that means there's too much of something in their system, and it needs to be taken away. So too much of something could be simple as they're overeating certain kinds of foods. It could be that they have an infection that needs to be removed. It could be a parasite or a virus or something like that. It could be a toxin from the environment, like heavy metals. The other area where they have dysfunction could be a structural interference. And the structure was where chiropractic was mostly focused. And we know that joint manipulation, physical therapies, various things can be helpful. You have to reintegrate the positioning of the structures of the body in order to have the body function properly. Everybody knows that if you sprain an ankle or break a bone somewhere, you need to reset those things. But it's a little more complicated than that, in that the structure also determines function in terms of communication in your system. So the last area that I found was needed to be addressed was what I call disintegration, or basically I say the operating system, much like in a computer or a rocket ship, the operating system is not functioning properly. It's getting mixed messages. There's conflicts in it. And so what we have to do is reset the information processing in the body. And naturopathic medicine has different methods and different ways that they approach these things. And so that becomes the important thing, is to identify, assess these things, and deal with them. All of these areas are functional problems, and naturopathic physicians are trained to diagnose and identify pathologies similar to the medical doctors. But our real training is in this functional medicine to restore the functions back to the system so that people can regain functions that they've lost or are being interfered with.
Now, Dr. Brown, what are some of the reasons people come to see you?
Well, I think there's 4 main reasons, and in simple language, it's I'm tired. I don't seem to have the energy that I think I should have. I'm in pain. And the pain can either be a fairly recent thing, but sometimes it's a chronic pain. I've been in pain for now weeks, months, or sometimes years. The other reason is I can't do X, or my body won't do X the way that it should. And that often involves things like allergies, for instance, or I used to be able to do something, and now I just can't do it. Most of the time, people are told things like, well, that's aging, or, they'll come in with, let's say, a problem in their knee, and they'll say, well, that's arthritis, and it's just aging. The point I make the person comes in and says, yeah, but the knee that's in trouble is just as old as the other knee that's functioning just fine, so that doesn't make sense to me. And our job then is to go in and find out what's going on in that region and make corrections so that basically both knees are functional.
Well, Dr. Brown, I have a few more questions for you, but we're up against the break. So let's go ahead and take a commercial break here, and we'll be right back with Dr. Tim Brown, the owner and creator of Ocean Park Natural Therapies. And when we return, we'll be talking about health problems and solutions. We'll be right back.
More Spotlight on Business after a quick word from our sponsors.
Buying or selling a home on the Semiahmoo Peninsula? Catch up on local market conditions on This Week in Real Estate with Lance and Connie Marples from Sutton West Coast Realty on localwebradio.fm.
If you're struggling with a dental or oral health issue, be sure to catch the Healthy Smiles Oral Health Show with Dr. Norm Ickert on the Health Channel on localwebradio.fm.
Shopping for the lowest mortgage rate? Looking to refinance?
Catch the Mortgage Newscast with Jared Dreyer
On the Business Channel.
on localwebradio.fm.
Now back to Spotlight on Business.
All right, we're back with Dr. Tim Brown, and we're talking about different health problems and educating the patient. Now, Dr. Brown, from looking at your website, I see you treat many different types of health problems. Tell us about each area and the types of patients you see.
Well, we see a range of patients in our clinic. Basically, people come in and they're looking to solve health problems. And typically speaking, they've seen their doctors. They're going to different places, and they haven't got solutions. And so one of the things that I focus on is integrating solutions. So I sometimes use the concept of back, brain, body solutions. And when someone comes in, what we're looking to do is, first of all, do an assessment, get a good history on them. And what I'm really trying to do is determine, is the problem they're coming in with a local problem, a regional problem, a systemic problem, or sometimes a multi-systemic. And by that I mean someone might be coming in, they think they have a local problem. For instance, they've got a problem, like I had a lady come in last weekend, and she had a pain basically in her arm is what she was looking at. And when we traced it back, it wasn't really a local problem, it was a regional problem. It was coming from her shoulder and some nerves and things that had been affected. And when we discussed this with her, and we went through, she actually told me about a situation where she had caught her arm about 15 or 20 years before, and it had kind of got caught like in a ringer, and the nerves, she had nerve palsy on it. What happened was that when we sorted this thing out for her, and I found the areas where the nerves were involved, we gave her a treatment to determine if it was really coming from the nerve problem. And she by the time we finished, she was ecstatic because she said, about 90% of the pain is gone. What we figured out was that she had been, in her work, she'd been pulling some heavy boxes and things on a repetitive basis, and that nerve had gotten irritated and inflamed. But this had been going on now it was getting worse over several months. So the point being is that sometimes people come in with what they think is a local problem, and it's really regional, meaning an arm-shoulder syndrome, or the pain in your knee is